going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Wonbyone Podcast. This is the show where I sit down with athletes, entrepreneurs, leaders, and we talk about the mindsets, the systems, the habits that drive success, all right, and performance under pressure. I'm sitting here joined today with a friend of mine, an author, a leadership coach. 2018, he was there with the Boston Red Sox in the World Championship and the World Series. Justin Sewell, how are you doing?
Oh, Obi, man. So happy to be here. I'm glad we were able to make this happen, and I can't wait for the conversation.
Yeah, man. Just tell the people, I always want to start, where are you located at right now?
I'm in Florida. So we're in beautiful Florida, and we're about to hit our favorite time of the year. The winters in Florida are beautiful.
What is it like?
It gets a little hot in the summer, but I love it here.
What is it like there? Honestly, I've only been there once. What is it like in the winter?
In the winter, the humidity drops, the temperature drops, and
Okay.
it is it's sunny and it's awesome. It's awesome. This is the time where I go out and I'm able to stay outside. Because during the summer we're trying to stay in and stay in air conditioning. And
Is it raining at all over there? Is it?
We're in the middle of hurricane season. You have your typical every day you get your rain and all that,
Yeah.
but once hurricane season passes, we'll be good.
Man, I want to jump right into it. And, you know, one of the things that I love talking to you about, you know what I've got going on, but one of the things that I want to talk about is this leadership performance. What is it? What do you consider it? How do you coin it? Just talk to me about that.
That's such a good question. I think we athletes, what's interesting about athletes, and you remember your time as a player, you could always see statistics on your performance. Points per game, rebounds, block shots, steals, time of possession. You see all of that stuff. But what about leadership? How do you know you are performing well? What are your metrics? How do you know you're progressing? What are your processes as a leader? And I think when it comes to leadership performance, is essentially just asking the question, are you leading on purpose with purpose? When you show up to the building and when you stand in front of your team, are you speaking by design and not default? Have you thought about what type of energy you want to create in the building? Have you thought about how you want to be perceived? Have you thought about your communication, your facial expression, your body language? Are you getting better as a leader? And how do you know? What are your weak spots? What are your blind spots? How are you managing your stress? What systems have you created to not get burnt out, but when you show up at home with your family and your loved ones, is there a space for that? Is work consuming you to where you can't even be present at home with your family? And so, in my opinion, that is what leadership performance looks like. Do you have systems and metrics around and frameworks around your decision-making strategies? All those little things that collectively they lead to big things.
I love that, man. And for you guys that don't know, okay, just a little insight, you have been a big part of my direction that I was, you know, in shaping where I was going, and having that conversation with you and just shining some light on what it is and what it's not. Being an athlete myself is something, you know, leadership is something that a lot of people say you either have it or you don't have it, but it's hard. It's something that you can teach. I believe that it's systems and frameworks that then guide your decisions. And so I want to talk to you about the ring without an at bat. All right, that's the title. The ring without an at bat. Why? Because leadership, we think about leadership as being, you know, within the team and the core and one person leading, but for somebody like yourself who won a ring without actually being in the game, talk to me about what it's like leading a team, being part of a team, and not actually swinging the bat.
Oh my goodness, I love that. I love the ring without the at bat. That's actually really creative. I'm gonna have to use that somewhere down the line. And to the point, that could be a lot of people. That was the chef, that was the athletic trainer, that was the clubhouse manager, that's the security guard, and any elite team, or any team for that matter, the ones that are the best are the ones where everyone has this collective effort. Show up with what you have and bring what you got and lean into what you do for the betterment of the team. And what I always love to say is the players win championships. Players are going to play. And the rest of us, we do everything we can to support that group of men and women to show up the best version of themselves when it matters most. And so my time with the Boston Red Sox, my title was Mental Performance Coordinator. And so my role was very simple: to create an environment and to provide support to coaches and players to help them with a mental game. We obviously hear people tell players, be confident, without teaching them how to be confident. Focus, without teaching them how to focus. Be a great leader, to your point, without teaching them strategies and techniques on what that specifically means. And so my job with the Boston Red Sox was to create curriculum and workshops and do one-on-one sessions with players and coaches to give them tools to close the gap from where they are to where they want to be. And so I mainly worked with the injured players. I worked with coaches. I worked with the AAA guys as they go back and forth. And I worked with a lot of these different players. So we all had our different roles. And so when it was all said and done, to be able to work with some players when they're injured and then they come back and then you see them go and perform, it's really, really neat to see the fruits of your labor. And also, sometimes you are 2 or 3 degrees away from the players. And so even now, sometimes my role is to provide support for the people who are directly connected to the players. Mm-hmm. I like to say the ghost in the system. There are many people in organizations, and if you ask athletes, individual athletes, there are people who are supporting athletes and right now who nobody knows about. But the athlete knows how important that person is. And it might not be someone on their payroll. It might be a friend. It might be a grandparent. It might be a family member, a different family member. And it's important to understand our individual roles in helping people thrive.
Quickly, how did selfishly, I'm wondering, how did you get started in that? How do you end up there? How does somebody end up there? You know what I mean? What is the route? Were you athlete turned? Were you always in this route? Were you always in the in the leadership performance realm?
Right.
Where were you at? Where did you get your start?
I love this question because Steve Jobs has a quote. He says, "You can only connect the dots looking back." If you and I were to be together in 2006 and I were to say, all right, Obi, this is my game plan. This is what I'm going to do. You would look and see that I am nowhere near what I thought I was going to do. Not even close. Okay. And so I am a firm believer as you chase and pursue your curiosity with vigor and intent and passion and tenacity, you might end up in places you never imagined ending up. I got my degree in broadcast journalism. I wanted to be Stuart Scott in sports broadcasting. I wanted to do the booyahs and cooler than the other side of the pillow. Some people might not know those references, but I grew up watching SportsCenter as a young Southern California kid in Los Angeles, wanting to be a sports broadcaster. And after I got my degree, did my internship, I hated it. And then I was like, no, this is not what I want to do. So I pivoted. And then I became a teacher. And I loved it. I wanted to teach for my whole life. But then I pivoted into mental performance. And I was working with young 10-year-old kids. And I wanted to work with youth my entire life until I pivoted and started working with combat medics and military intelligence. And then a door opened to a place I'd never heard of, the IMG Academy. And then I went there and started learning lessons and teaching parents and coaches and athletes. And then a door opened that I didn't know existed to the Boston Red Sox. And then a door opened that didn't exist to the Cleveland Browns, then to the Rays, to WWE. And next thing you know, I'm in a place where I had no idea this was even possible. And so I would say I would not be able to re-engineer this. It was not something I planned, but what I did do is I focused on the level I was at, and I tried to dominate the level I was at. I had blinders on, I turned the shot clock off, and I focused on my own lane. And I wasn't trying to be like somebody else. I wasn't trying to get to the pros. I just wanted to be the best I could be wherever I was. and serve the people I was serving, and a door opened. And I walked through that one, and a door opened, and I walked through that one, and next thing you know, and who knows where we're going to be in 10 years, and I wouldn't be surprised if it has nothing to do with this. I've learned over the course of the past 20 years to follow my curiosity, keep learning, keep growing, and you never know who's watching, and you never know what opportunities will present themselves.
Yeah, that's incredible. I think it's a testament to just following your path. I think a lot of times, not just in sports, in business as well, I think the easiest way is to follow the things that you enjoy and then watch those doors open. And so often, as we're chasing those doors, we see some of them close. And I'm sure you've had some periods of doubt, going through this the whole. And I'm sure, talk to us about some of the times when things maybe didn't go so well, and how you kept your focus and you kept pushing through those times to then lead to the Red Sox and the WWE and all those other lanes.
So, first of all, as I mentioned all of these different performance domains, I've never been a WWE wrestler. I've never been an NFL football player. I've never been an NHL hockey player, Major League Baseball player. I've never done any of these things. And so you could imagine the imposter syndrome and the discomfort I have going in to provide support to a group of individuals who are the best in class, thinking, what can I offer these men and women? I remember standing in front of an ATM with double digits in our account, checkings and savings, as a 25-year-old with 3 kids in diapers. I was a teacher. I was a waiter. I was getting my grad school. I felt like a terrible dad, a terrible husband, and just sobbing and thinking like making $24,000 a year, thinking like I'm a complete failure. There are so many jobs I didn't get, so many opportunities that didn't come my way, so many moments where I was the process coach for the 0-16 Cleveland Browns, that we didn't win a game, and then starting to think maybe I should find a new career. It happens all the time. And a lot of times I'd have people trying to give me advice. Oh, you should do this because this is how I did it. You should do this because this is the industry standard. And then I ended up realizing and learning, this goes back to our conversation, I was starting to develop a different skill stack than others. I learned lessons as a broadcaster. I learned lessons as a teacher. I learned lessons as a former baseball player. I learned lessons in the NFL and lessons along the way. I lived in Nicaragua for 2 years, learning Spanish, teaching more as a missionary, learning all these different lessons. And now no one can compete with my collection of skills, experiences, and lessons that I've learned. Just like no one can compete with you, with your collection of skills. There's no degree on earth, there's no letters behind anyone's name that can give them the experience that you have had, Obi. No one can, which makes you unique and makes you that separates you from other people so that you can be authentic to yourself. And Naval Ravikant has a quote I love. It says, escape competition through authenticity. Escape competition through authenticity. And once I learned to lean into that, early in my career, I was trying to be like this person and that person because that's what they do. And then I realized if I'm a copycat of somebody else, I am always 3 steps behind. I am not being authentic to my true self. And I had to shed trying to be like others and just lean into Justin Sua. And that's where I was most authentic, and that's when I became the best version of myself.
2 interesting things, and I love your take on that. Number 1 is confidence. Ooh. How did you build your confidence during that time? All right, that's number 1. Because I think I know what you're going to say, but one thing that you didn't talk about, and what I talk to all of my clients, all of my athletes, everybody, is you have to do the work, and it's hard. And it is hard. And a lot of people don't want to go through that period of time where they have to grind and go through the mud. And like you said, you didn't play for any of those leagues and any of those teams. And how do you have the confidence, one, to come teach something to a bunch of experts, right? That's always the thing. And
say, when you go into the jungle and you go into the wild, if you are taking a beautiful picture of a lion, it's because a lion is letting you take pictures of him. And I feel the same with the way with professional athletes. When I walk into a clubhouse or a locker room, I'm being observed by the athletes just as much, if not more, than I'm observing them. Or
Oh yeah.
I know that. So I say that because that shapes my approach with pro athletes. I never tell an athlete, I'm here to teach you. No way. I am not here to teach you. I am not here to shove skills or frameworks down your throat and here, you got to listen to the Justin Sua tips. No. I'm here to provide a safe place for the athlete to learn from themselves. The athlete is a hero. The athlete has experience. I come with a white flag saying I come in peace. I respect your experience. I respect your expertise. And I literally tell them, you don't need me. I will tell you, Obi, you do not need me. You've got here without me, and you're going to achieve great heights without me. Let's just get that straight. Mm-hmm. And you might want to close the gap from where you are to where you want to be. Maybe, just maybe, we can provide the type of have a relationship where I can help you accelerate excellence. Mm-hmm. And you're going to be the one to judge that. And you might be like, okay, let's talk, but you're going to have to be open and transparent and vulnerable. We're going to create some systems, and you can share as much as you want or as little as you want in order to get there. And in any moment, you can say, you know what, I don't want to do this anymore. And it's completely up to you. And so that's how I approach it. Now, to build the confidence to do that, you hit the nail on the head. It comes with unbelievable amounts of reps to be able to realize and practice asking effective questions. Mm-hmm. Practice knowing when to ask and when not to say a word. To have opportunities to be in moments where I've failed. I've had moments where I asked a player a question and it looked like he was going to punch me in the face. Okay, lesson learned. Don't learn that kind of feel. Yeah. I know when to approach athletes and when not to approach them. When to talk to coaches, when not to talk to coaches, and to give space to breathe. And because of my personality, and I'm more of I smile a lot, I tend to be more of a positive vibe person, I need to have substance. And when you are working with the best in the world, you better be the best in the world yourself. And if an athlete's going to ask me a question and say, tell me about the prefrontal cortex, tell me about the science of learning, what's the science of confidence? If I give a pro athlete a blank stare and say, I don't know, they're going to say, get out of my face. How am I expected to be the best in the world and you're not sharpening your craft the way I'm sharpening my craft? And so reading the science, reading the books, listening to journals, taking notes, I always tell people, they have no clue how much I'm reading and studying and learning and growing every single day, all the time, and in order to be ready for that moment when it's time to be able to learn together with these elite athletes.
That's humbling. That's a lot of humility coming out of you from that, man, because I understand from an athlete's perspective, if I have any professional come in the door, whether you're a doctor, physio, leadership, performance, whatever you are, right? I can sense immediately if you're sharp on what you're talking about. I know nothing about your degree, about your topic, but I can sense your confidence, the level of confidence coming off of you, the things that you're saying. I know if you're confident in what you're telling me. And that's where it starts from there immediately. It's like, are you taking care of your business and your craft? And that's the thing about being a high-level achiever or high-level learner is like you surround yourselves with people that are in your field, but are great in their field. Great in whatever field that you're in, be great in that field. Those are where, as a high-level athlete, that's where you want to spend your time, with people who are spending time on their own craft and then coming to provide assistance. And it's like, hey, look, you don't need me, but I have done the work so you don't have to. I've done some of this. I saw you. I know what you're doing. Here are some options for you. You can choose one. You can take one. You can take two. You can take as many as you want. But just some options. And if ever you feel like you need some help, here, just look at this paper. Look at this page. This is it for you. You know what I mean? And that's what I try to do with my athletes is I don't know if it's going to work for you. I've seen it work for me and some others, and this is what we've came up with here.
Oh, I love what you said in that, respecting the individual nature of each person, because I love that you said that. The fact that you are a player gives you so much where someone could be like, oh, you've been there, done that. You've
Right.
been on the floor. You know what I'm experiencing. And what I love about you, you said, this is what worked for me. Let's find out what works for you.
Right.
And that right there, because players are I've seen this happen, where we'll have Hall of Fame legends visit the team. Hall of Famers visit the team, and there's something called the illusion or the competency, the curse of competency,
Okay.
or the curse of expertise, where something that comes very easy to you, you literally just tell them, hey, just do this. Well, of course you can do that. You're Shaq. Well, of course you can do that. You're LeBron. Of course you can do that. You're Ken Griffey Jr. And where it can be frustrating for someone who's not at that talent level. But what you are saying, what makes you so good at what you do now in this role, is you're like, not only have I been in your shoes, I've understood what works for me, and it might not work for you, so let's create it together. This was the process that I went through to find out what works for me. Let's create a process to find out what works best for you. And I know you were probably going to get there yourself, but
Right.
maybe I can provide some support to accelerate the process. And that's what I'm hearing that you do, which I think is so powerful.
I think it's about meeting people where they are. You know, meet people where they are. And so I think that's why I know myself, and I know you've worked with all different ages, and that's why you're able to work with different ages. How many people do you know can't work with younger kids or females or older kids or older females, or, they can't work with different grades because the message is still the same, but they can't meet people where they are. They don't understand the challenges that this person's dealing with versus the challenges that this person's dealing with. Everybody's dealing with their own different challenges. You know what I mean?
Yep. I love that yes, you're absolutely right. And even there could be different ages. There can be different levels, talking to a rookie versus talking to a veteran, talking to a guy who plays every day versus a guy who doesn't play every day, talking to the front office versus talking to a coach, talking to the head coach versus the assistant coaches. Just knowing the situation and the nuances of a context is so powerful. I also want to go back to something you said that I think is important for the listeners to hear. Being undeniable in whatever you do. Steve Martin has a quote. He says, "Be so good they can't ignore you." It doesn't matter what you do for a living. Be so good they can't ignore you. And mediocrity in any job you do, just look at your industry. There are most people, that's why they call it average. The average person is mediocre at their job. They're mediocre. And so what I want to do is I want to be so good that when you go, you'll be able to say, oh, that's what excellence looks like. Oh, that's what tenacity, that's what it looks like when someone is passionate and driven and has a purpose to what they do. Mediocrity is always hidden until excellence shows up and exposes it. And I think in our jobs, you want to be so good that when you walk into the room, the players or the person you're working with is like, oh, this is a different look. This is what greatness looks like. And that's something where that doesn't just happen by it's not just happenstance. It happens on purpose.
Yeah, and a lot of people, it happens on purpose. It happens. It takes a lot of effort, though, and all of this, none of this matters if you don't put the effort forth. And I think and we talk about being mediocre. You can be better than mediocre by simply putting in the effort, but a lot of people won't do the work required to get there, and that's just, part of the issue.
Yeah, no, I agree. And what I think there's so many variables to success. And there's a framework we always talk about, necessary but not sufficient. And it's so true to collective success. Success requires a lot of things. Hard work is necessary but not sufficient. Learning is necessary but not sufficient. Grit, necessary. You need grit to be great, but it's not sufficient. You need mental toughness. It's all of those things combined over a long period of time. And I think it's effort. Effort is the floor, but it's not sufficient. There are certain people who are working really, really, really hard. You've probably seen this. You've probably seen an athlete or player or anyone work really hard, but they're working really hard on the wrong thing. Or their drill, that's a terrible drill. Or that's terrible technique, but they're working really hard, but they have terrible fundamentals. Okay, yeah, they're putting in the effort. It's necessary, but it's not sufficient. There are other elements to it as well in order to squeeze the juice out of that effort.
I see where you're going with that. Okay. Let me ask you a question about, so we talk about leadership. When you're dealing with, and I know you've dealt with high-level achievers who struggle with confidence, inner dialogue. Let's call it inner dialogue. How do you? I guess it all depends on the situation. But are there any key terms, or are there any key staples that you try to implement or show them or talk to them about as far as inner dialogue, as far as being their own worst enemy?
Yeah. It's very, very common. But first,
it's so common, and it's hard to address.
Yes, exactly. I think it's very important to understand and get clear on definitions on what confidence is and what confidence isn't. Oh. And that's the first place we start. Confidence it's very fickle. It's an interesting topic. So I'll ask you this question. I'll just for the audience, and you can be the person I ask this to. Has there ever been a time in a game where you go in as a team, collective team confidence, you guys, or even individually, you go into the game with a lot of confidence, but for some reason you just didn't play very well? The results weren't there.
For sure.
Yeah, it happens.
For sure.
Has there ever been a time where the reverse happened, where you went in, you're like, oof, I'm not super confident that this is a really good team. The guy I'm going to be lined up against or matched up against, he's really good. And you actually had a really good game. You actually dominated. The confidence was low, but you dominated, okay? So there's going to be moments where you have high confidence and perform poorly. And then you have low confidence and perform great. And then the question I always ask is, what does that teach us about confidence? That's interesting. What it teaches us is confidence is not an accurate predictor of future success. And so why are we chasing confidence when you can have confidence and stink, and you cannot have confidence and do well? And so why are we chasing confidence? It's a feeling that comes and goes. And so what we do is, instead of focusing on building confidence, we focus on building competence, actual executionable behaviors that could be reliable under pressure, things that you can actually do. Confidence is a feeling. It's like telling, let's say you're dating someone and they like you, but you don't like them. Or you like them and they don't like you. You can't force someone to like you. It's a feeling. So sometimes confidence, I don't like to focus on it. I want confidence to be a byproduct of actual competence. And so this is what I mean by that. And so what we do is, the first thing we understand is we say, hey, confidence is a feeling, it's going to come and go. It doesn't matter how you feel. It only matters what you do. That's what matters. There's going to be moments where you don't feel confident. Okay, but did you train and are you prepared to perform at a high level under pressure? You know what I did. Okay, great. It doesn't matter how you feel, only what you do. We always say, forget your feelings. A lot of athletes use that different word there. Forget your feelings. Focus on what you do. And a quote that I love, a lot of times confidence is misplaced. There's a quote, a proverb, Russian proverb, that states, a bird can rest peacefully on a branch, not because of its confidence in the branch, but because of its confidence in its ability to fly. And that's where a lot of people struggle, is their confidence is misplaced. You should have confidence in your ability to bounce back from adversity. You should have confidence in your ability to give your best effort no matter what. You should have confidence in your ability to be coachable under pressure and to be able to be a good decision maker under pressure. That's where we put our confidence in. Now, confidence in to be a good teammate and so forth. Now, on the other side, I will say it's better to have confidence than to not have confidence. And with that, I give people the 5 P's of confidence. So P number 1 is present performance. Play good, feel good. Like play good, feel good. If you play well, you have a good practice, you're more likely confidence goes up.
Right.
P number 2 is past performance. If you don't have confidence now, look back into the past when you played really well. The brain doesn't know what's real or what's not. So go back and watch tape on when you did perform well. P3 is preparation. What did you do to prepare for the game? You want to have we call them confidence receipts or performance receipts or preparation receipts. You want to write down everything you did in order to be for the game or ready for this moment, so that when uncertainty pops in, you can look at that uncertainty and say, nah, I ate well, I slept well, I did these drills, I did this, I had a good practice, I watched tape.
You're lying.
Yeah, you're lying. Exactly. You're lying.
Yeah.
And I have the receipts to prove it.
Yeah,
So that's
yeah.
the third P is preparation. Number 4, I call them productive thoughts or positive thoughts, as some people say. Feeding your mind, literally writing down, how do I want to speak to myself? What words do I want to use? What statements do I want to use? What scriptures do I want to have in my mind? There's that. And then number 5 is positive people. I want to surround myself with people who pour into me and not pull out of me. It might be an artist, it might be Nipsey, it might be a podcast, it might be an author, it might be a musician, it might be a grandma, a family member. And then the bonus one is purpose. When you have purpose in your life, when you know why you do what you do, you'll have more power to do it. And that will pull you through adversity and it will boost up your confidence. And so it's a whole collection of all those things I just brought in order to stabilize yourself to perform.
Listen, man, that could have been my pregame speech. I'm ready to go. I got all the confidence I need for the day. That was awesome. That's amazing. Now that framework. So run me. What are the 5 again? Run them through me real quickly.
Here are the P's.
Titles?
Number 1, present performance.
Okay.
Play good, confidence goes up. Past
Okay.
performance.
Okay. Present.
Preparation.
Past. Okay.
Productive thoughts.
Okay.
Positive people, and then purpose. Having purpose in what you do.
Okay.
All
I love
P's.
that. All right. So we talked about confidence. Another thing that I love to talk about is resetting. Okay. So with confidence, obviously, no matter how high your confidence is, you're going to come into these low periods of time. What do we do when we're down here? How do we get back up?
Yeah.
How do we reset?
The mind loves a clean slate. It loves it. That's why we love January 1st. Clean slate. We love new games. We love new months. We love new weeks. We love new possessions. We love new jobs because we have a chance to start clean. And I love that you said resets. And so it's creating fresh starts in your brain. It might be Sundays, it might be Mondays, and being able to create a new opportunity to refresh and hit the reset button. What happens too many times to people is they don't have any resets. They have no clean slates. And then one possession leads into a quarter, leads into a half, leads into a game, leads into a whole road trip, leads into a homestand, leads into the month. Next thing you know, you look back, you're like, what a terrible season, when all you needed to do was have a place baked into your system for a reset. And so my invitation to somebody listening to this is, where can you bake in a reset? Break them in. The best example is NASCAR. Take a look at NASCAR. They have pit stops. Now, what's great about the pit stop, if you look at Formula One or NASCAR pit stops, they last anywhere from 1.5 to 3 seconds. They're short, they're small, they're simple. But in that little moment of time, they fill the car with gas, they change the tires, they clean the windshield, and then off they go. Create some pit stops in your week, in your day, in your game to reset, to recalibrate in order to have a fresh start moving into the next iteration or whatever you're going to next.
Yeah. So often as a basketball player, shooter's mentality. What does that mean? As a basketball player, you understand what that means. It means you can be 0 for 10, you've got to take the next one, right? That's a shooter's mentality. And so, I mean, I used to struggle with that. I have struggled very bad with just self-confidence. And with the game like basketball, where you have such quick feedback loops, and you miss a shot, and it's, your head's down. You miss a shot, your head's down. A missed shot can turn into 2, can turn into 7, can turn into a drought of 7, 8, 10 games, whole half of the season, whole season. Like you said, the snowball just keeps rolling. And a lot of times I've got to talk to myself. I mean, I talk to myself on the daily, in the game, every time, every miss. Don't worry about it. You got it. Next shot. Don't worry about it. Next one. And I might have 2 points going into halftime. And I'll go into halftime and I'll sit there and I'll just have a conversation with myself. And this is my favorite line. And if you're a hooper, steal it. It's my favorite line. And I don't know why I say it to myself, but I'll just say, I mean, crazier things have happened. Because I tell myself, I want to, if you want to average 20 points a game, I'll go into half, I'll have 4 points. And I'm like, crazier things have happened. I've scored 20 in a half. I've scored 20 in 10 minutes. You know what I mean? And so restoring that belief in self, taking that time and restoring that belief, or whether it's listening to, sometimes I'll come into halftime, I'll listen to a song at halftime because I'm so down. Listen to a song, get yourself back going, clean slate, go back, enter the game, clean slate. And so I think that I was never able to pinpoint what the reset is. I have some systems and some frameworks for it, but just picturing that clean slate, the clean board, I think I'm definitely going to steal that. I'm definitely going to steal that.
Oh my goodness, you did it, and you are describing exactly what people need, and you found what worked for you. Self-talk. That could be something. Yeah. Stop listening to yourself. Start talking to yourself, because that's when the doubt starts to come in, and here you are saying effective, productive words to yourself. I love that statement. You said worse things have happened. Is that what you said?
Yeah, crazier things have happened.
Yeah, crazier things have happened. I have a Major League Baseball player. He hates to walk batters. That's when the opposite, like not the opposite of a strikeout, but 4 balls is a walk, for those who aren't familiar with baseball. It's an unforced mistake. It's like you can control that. And he used to tell himself, oh, I hate this. It means I stink. He changed it. What he says now is, that's not like me. That's what he says.
I like
that's
that.
Not like me. So
he
doesn't absorb it as part of his identity. He doesn't say, here we go again. He says, that's not like me. I have a tennis player, a professional tennis player, one of the best in the world. Whenever something bad happens, he says to himself, so what? So what? That's all he says to himself. And that kind of resets him. Instead of like, oh, here we go again, he just tells himself, so what? Yeah. So to have some kind of statement or an anchor to reframe that for yourself. You talked about listening to music. Music is an amazing emotional trigger that can reinforce and put you in the right, get the vibes right, so to speak. And here's the thing, for anyone listening, do what works best for you and experiment. Put the white coat of experimentation on. Go try words, go try music, go try writing, go try breathing, see what works for you, and then execute it. You'll notice what works, what doesn't work, and then just take what works and then just compound that.
It's crazy, man. That's powerful for me because I got tears in my eyes. It's powerful for me, man, because that's one thing that has helped me get over so many tough times, is just being able to tell yourself that, to pick myself up, hey, it's okay. Like, and whatever, and I don't tell anybody this, it's just what I'm working through for myself and words that help me. And so I've seen so many athletes that struggle with that. And that's kind of just stealing their own confidence, literally taking their own confidence. And it's not about anybody else, it's completely about yourself. You see the words one by one here on my chest. That's where that name came from. It's just, you have to figure out what works for you, period. And there's a million tips, there's a million tricks, there's a million things that you can do, but pull yourself out of it and look at what has worked for other people that you admire, people that you would look up to, people that you think are maybe in the same field. Look at what they are talking about. Look at the things that they are doing, and then model. Steal some of those things. Steal those tips. Steal those frameworks. When you find yourself struggling, figure out something that you listen to, that you heard of somebody that's doing the same thing, and steal it. Because that's how we get better, man. And that one specifically. And I'm not huge. I don't speak publicly a lot about self-talk because I think that it scares people. and people don't want to really, they're not vulnerable enough to allow themselves to benefit from it. But I would encourage you to take it, use it as a cue, use it as something, if you're struggling, use it to help you in your performance days. Because it's helped so many athletes like myself and the ones that you've worked with. And that's going to lead me into my next question for you is leaders. What are they doing in their off time that helps, that is aiding them their ability? So a lot of times people ask me, well, how did you come back from all these surgeries? How did you come back from these injuries? And the thing that I credit is what I did while I was injured, my downtime, right? And that's what I credit my ability to come back and bounce back is because I just never stopped. People, they take their downtime and they stop and they're thinking about their injuries and they're wallowing in that and they're not bouncing back. So I think that a lot of leaders are winning time in that down period. What do you see that leaders are doing in their down period that's lending to their success in their sport and off?
Leaders are very intentional and deliberate. I work now with a lot of NFL head coaches, NBA head coaches, Major League Baseball managers, and we get on this talk around leadership. And you bring up a really good point because leadership doesn't sleep. It's not just decision making during the games, calling the timeouts, strategies, all of that. It happens behind the scenes, in the dark, when no one's watching. It's those hard conversations in the office. And it follows you everywhere you go. The people who you lead are always on your mind, and you're always thinking to yourself, how can I message this better? How can I be a better version of myself in order to help other people? And I think the best leaders, now what you're talking about, are player leaders. There's one thing to be the general manager, that you're 2 degrees away from the players, and then you're the head coach, or you're 1 degree away from the players. But then there's a different kind of leader, which is the player leader, the guy who's actually on the court, on the field with your teammates, and your teammates are getting their clues from you as one of their peers, and you are a leader. And so you are, not only are you leading from some office, I don't know why I just said magic, some office, you are in there with them. And I love that because the thing about leaders is you're always being watched. And we always say people are going to catch the attitudes and the behaviors of the leader. And the leader, like for example, a great leader hustles while they wait. They work in the dark. They embrace the boredom of consistency. Because when their teammates come and they watch, they're going to see, hey, I might not be on the court with you guys, but I'm over here working my tail off to get back as soon as I can. I might not be able to be on the court with you or on the field with you. And in fact, those who are injured are going through their own demons. They feel like they're on their own island. They feel like they almost can't even say anything because they're not in the fight with their teammates. Coaches might feel that coaches don't talk to them as much. Teammates don't talk to them as much. They feel kind of like they're on their own island. They're like, can I even talk to people? It's awkward. But the great leaders know that, hey, I might not be able to make that pass, get that pick, run that play, call that play, but I can provide energy from the bench. I can support the rookies and help accelerate their learning while I'm here. I can be a set of eyes and go over the tape and help people and help my teammates out. And I think it's very, very important for the player leaders to realize that they have an incredible impact, even if the ball is not in their hands and if they're not on the court or not on the field.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. What led you to write your 2 books? You got 2 books, right?
Yes. So the first book is called Parent Pep Talks. What led it to happen is I was a baseball coach, a little league coach, 10-year-olds, and it was while I was getting my master's degree in performance psychology. And while I was getting that degree, I was learning the science of optimizing human performance, the science of motivation, of confidence, of focus, how to create good teams and all of that, things that Olympians and pro athletes, resources that they get. And here I am coaching, And I'm hearing the parents in the stands tell their kids, relax, be confident. They're telling their kids to focus. And then it just dawned on me.
What does
Here's
that mean?
mom and dad telling their kids what to do, but they're not telling them how to do it. And so that was the game. I brought all the parents aside after the game, told the kids to go play on the playground. And I said, moms and dads, I'm getting my degree in sports psychology. I'm learning. I'm hearing you tell your kids what to do, but about the mental game, but you're not giving them how-tos. You're not giving them strategies on how to do it according to their personality. What if I started teaching you guys some specific skills on how to execute what you're telling them to do? And parents are like, yes, let's do it. So one thing led to another. I started working with more parents and more parents, teaching seminars. A publisher came up to me and they're like, hey, let's put that in a book. My immediate response was no.
Right.
There's no way I'm doing that because I don't want to be a parent expert. I don't want to tell parents how to parent their kids because I'm a parent of 3 kids myself and I have no idea what I'm doing. So do not trust me on how to raise parents or how to raise kids rather. And the publisher said, no. Let's just make a manual. You're already doing it. And I did it. And then after that, they said, hey, let's come up with one for teenagers. And my knee-jerk reaction was teenagers don't read books. And they said, no, we'll just take your tweets and your simple statements and put them in a book so kids can read it they can read all of it in the span of 45 minutes.
That's
and so
cool.
Something simple. So that's where
cool.
it came from.
That's cool. That's awesome, man. And I'm noticing that a lot too. And it's hard for me because I don't have any kids, and so I don't want to talk bad about parents. But it's hard for me to see the parents, and I don't. There's different challenges, and I'm being serious. There's different challenges that come along with being a parent. But I'm seeing them interact with their kids, and I'm like, there are better ways to do this. There are better ways to reach them. And not only that, some parents are coming to me that are struggling with, they're struggling. They never been there. They never played high school basketball. They never played college basketball. Never played professional basketball. They don't know. They don't know, and so, and not just basketball, but any sport. They don't know what it's like, and they're looking for ways to communicate with their kids. That's extremely important, and that's an area that I see needs and deserves, I believe, some more attention.
I agree. And even coming from a person like yourself who's been there and has done that. And I love when players, former players, coaches, former coaches come back to support parents to help them help their kids because it's coming from a person who has been there and has done that and has been around the highest level to come back and say, hey, moms and dads, hey, here are some things that can help you on your journey based on where I've been. I've been at the place where you want your kids to go. Here are some things that help and some things that might hurt. Yeah. And I'm a firm believer that no team is more important than the family in helping parents win at home. And these principles that former players like yourself could teach these parents can not only help their kids win on the court or on the field, but also win in life, at school, in the home. And so I think it's so powerful.
We talked about the demographic watching and listening to this show, man, and a lot of them are parents. There are a lot of adults that are listening that are hearing these tips and hearing these stories from athletes and professionals, and they're using these. I've got a lot of parents come to me and say, man, hey, thanks, I really appreciate that. The content that you're putting out, I love it. It's useful, and so they really love it. Speaking of our viewers and listeners, if you wanted to leave us with one thing, Justin Sewell, one thought, one framework, one concept, one takeaway from Justin Sewell's pod, what would it be?
Wow. This is top of mind thoughts. I think if you were to ask me this question at any time, it could change from moment to moment. But one thing that has been on my heart and on my mind a lot lately is navigating adversity and failure. It's a topic that comes up a lot. And here in Florida, we're in the middle of, as I said earlier, hurricane season. And we've been through a lot of hurricanes, and it's affected our city a lot. And it's been devastating. But what's interesting about hurricanes is when a hurricane comes through, 2 things will be evident. A hurricane will reveal the things that are solid and expose the things that aren't. And I think the same is true with failure and adversity. Adversity and failure will reveal the things that are solid relationships. Pressure will reveal if your skills are solid. There's that quote that says, if you think something is solid, expose it to heat, because an ice cube is solid until you put some heat on it, and then it begins to melt. That's how you'll really know if someone's skill set is solid, if you expose some heat to it. That's how you'll know a relationship is solid, if it's able to navigate adversity. And so when you're going through the storm, you need to understand and build relationships that can navigate the storms, and build skill sets that can navigate the pressure and navigate the heat. And when the storms come and go, because you're either in the middle of a storm, you're coming out of a storm, or you're about to go into a storm, if you're any performer in life. And the key is to prepare yourself for it. What are you going to do to prepare for the storm? And how fast can you rebuild and to solidify yourself once the storm passes and it exposes your weaknesses? And so that's what I would say, is to strengthen your relationship with storms and be prepared for it, and be willing to learn and grow from it and be stronger from it once it passes.
Jeez. That's powerful. That's powerful, man. I love that. That was amazing. Golly. That was amazing, Justin. I appreciate that, man. It hits home for me because a lot of my work is spent on people dealing with failure. How do we overcome failure? How do we build the confidence? How do we build the resilience to overcome, and the discipline to overcome the failure? And I think that you hit it on the nose. That is the biggest thing that we deal with in our lives. And it's not just about building the confidence. It's about how do we bounce back, and how do we continue to be resilient and continue to face the battles in front of us, man. Justin, I appreciate you for coming on here and sharing your story, your perspective with us. This was amazing. Your systems, I'm stealing a few of them. I'm just letting you know that right now. Stealing the confidence one for sure. Tell the people where they can find you.
I'm very easy to find on social media: Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, at Justin Sua. And what I think people listening might enjoy is I have a newsletter called the Increase Your Impact newsletter, where strategies and stories are shared for athletes, coaches, and parents. I give a new set of strategies every single Monday, and so you can just click the link on any of those, and they'll be delivered to you.
Somebody send me the link, man. I need the link. Justin, I appreciate you. It's been a pleasure, man. Thank you so much. We'll be in touch. I wish you the best on your journey. Obviously, I'm going to be contacting you. We'll be, hopefully to see if we can get some more partnership stuff going on, man. But we'll be in touch. It was a pleasure.